Hey guys, it's Darwin here with my weekly Q&A to answer more of your questions. If you want to ask a question for next week's Q&A, you can either leave it in the comment box below or send me a video question over to darwinonthetrail@yahoo.com, and then next week I'll answer as many as I possibly can. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get into this week's first question. What is your advice for keeping your feet warm when they get wet and it's cold? Like in slush and rain, especially when using trail runners that aren't waterproof like Ultra Lone Peaks. So Lane, pretty much like I've said for the past 2 years, I just deal with getting wet. So anytime that I'm hiking in water or crossing a river, or if it's some sort of a slush, icy mix, I just deal with it. And the reason that I hike in a shoe like the Lone Peak or any trail runner or any trail shoe that is non-waterproof and non-Gore-Tex is because I know regardless, even though I might try as hard as I can, I'm not gonna keep my feet dry. So I want a shoe that can dry out quick whenever I get to camp or whenever I'm done hiking for the day. So the good thing about Lone Peaks is I might dredge through a bunch of really cold water and it might totally suck while I'm doing it, but I know that when I get to camp at night, I can take them off and those shoes will dry out quick, and usually they're pretty good for the morning and I can throw them back on. So it's all about embracing the suck. While on your hikes, has there ever been any water source that you would not drink from? So yeah, when I was out on the CDT in April, actually the first water source that I came to on the first day was this little cattle tank that was actually being charged and pumped by a windmill. I went to dip my water in. I got a nice big Sawyer bag filled. I went over to start filtering my water, got one bottle filled, went back, and then I noticed there was this big, nasty, dead rat floating in the bottom of the tank. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't drink from it, especially because, and most people don't know this, the plague actually still exists in New Mexico, which is absolutely terrifying. So yeah, that is a water source that I definitely wouldn't drink from. And then there was one time out on the AT, whenever we saw a dead deer carcass that was just up the stream, and we definitely didn't drink from that water source. So pretty much if there's any dead animals anywhere near the stream, I'm not drinking from it, because you never know what type of disease that you can get.
Hey Darwin, love the YouTube channel, keep the videos coming. I was just wondering, is there anywhere you've hiked overseas that you would recommend or anything like that?
No man, I've actually never done any hiking outside of the States. I've never been outside the States, believe it or not. But I do have plans to hit a few places overseas, not necessarily Europe yet. I have a really big passion and a desire to go to the Patagonia in South America, and then just all through South America on the Peruvian coast. So that's where I would like to hike next, that's out of the States. And then there's also a really awesome long trail that's in New Zealand that I've heard great things about that I'd like to check out too. When doing a thru hike, how do you choreograph receiving gear and supplies from friends/family through the postal service? So I'm actually going to do a whole video on mail drops and kind of how you do it. But pretty much what you do is either you do it or you have a family member do it. You grab a flat rate shipping box, you put all the stuff you want to put in. If you're sending it to a post office, you want to put general delivery and then the area code that the post office is in. Your name, please hold for hiker, and then your estimated time of arrival. I usually make sure that the package is mailed out at least 1 week in advance, and then when I get to the post office, there it is. Now as far as choreographing it with family members and stuff, I pretty much just call them like a week in advance before I get to a certain resupply point and tell them, hey, this is where I'm going to be at on this date and how to address the box. And I'll usually send them a text with the exact information that they need to put on the box. Do you listen to music on the trail? If you do you use headphones or a phone speaker? What kind of music? So I always use headphones, and that's because I totally believe in leave no trace, even with music. So I cannot stand when hikers use the little speaker and they put it on their pack, or if they have their phone speaker turned on, because even if they have awesome music and I'm really into it, I don't want to hear someone else's music on the trail, because sometimes maybe I don't want to hear music for the day. I want to be in nature and I want to hear the sounds that are around me. So I always make sure that I use headphones to respect other hikers. As far as what music do I listen to, I have a super eclectic taste in music and I listen to all types of stuff, from punk to metal, to classical, to blues, to jazz. I'm a huge audiophile, so I listen to everything. I've actually considered starting to put together a hiking playlist and then putting it over on my website for you guys to check out and just kind of look at what I listen to when I'm on the trail.
Hey Darwin, my name is Daniel. I am coming to you from Pennsylvania. I apologize, I do not have a trail name yet, but hopefully in the future I'll have one. I had a question about hiking trailers. I had seen them online and I was just wondering, in the course of your through hikes, is it something that you've run across? Are people actually using them? And if you have seen one, has it been looked like a good idea, or is it just impractical? Just kind of curious about it. Saw them, thought they were interesting contraptions, and just thought I'd like to hear some comments. And again, thanks so much for your channel. Love all the stuff that you share. It's been a huge help. All right, thanks a lot. Bye.
Yeah, I've totally seen those hiking trailer things, and I'm not buying it. That's a really goofy idea to me, and maybe it works. Maybe it works for someone else. For me personally, no, I wouldn't be interested in that. I'm gonna use a pack all the time. If someone could like show me the science and explain to me how that's better than carrying a pack with a good load support and a good hip belt to really displace the weight, I might try it. Aside from that, yeah, I just think it's another one of those kind of goofy hiking things that someone's come up with that no one really needed. But I guess you could say that about any gear. Why aren't you pushing your Patreon more outside of the description box? It's pretty buried there. I'm sure there are plenty of subs that would love to help contribute to your PCT hike next year. Let them know how. Good point. So yeah, I do have a Patreon account, and it's in the description box below, and it's also up here somewhere at the top of the YouTube page. You can find a link to that. And pretty much how Patreon works is you pledge at least $1 a month, and that helps me to do long distance hikes like the PCT next year, or even helps me make videos like the one that you're watching. And then I have a ton of great rewards, from stickers to patches to being invited to a live Q&A that I do once a month, which actually I have one coming up this weekend. And yeah, I don't know why I don't plug it that much, but thanks. My dad was wondering, how do you prevent and take away muscle cramps when you're on the trail? So I pretty much deal with muscle cramps the same way that I dealt with them when I was a runner and a cyclist, and that is trying to roll them out as much as possible. So at home, I have things like a foam roller or like a tennis ball, or even a thing called the stick, to where you can really get in and roll those knots out of your muscles. But when I'm on the trail, I actually use my trekking pole. So I'll fold my trekking pole down to its smallest size, and then when I get to camp, after I stretch, I'll take my trekking pole and I'll roll it up and down on my muscles, on my calf, on my thighs, on my quads, and try to get those knots out of my muscles. So one, I get good sleep, and two, I'm re-energized and ready the next day for the trail. Now I know some hikers that actually carry a tennis ball with them and they roll out their muscle that way. And then last year on the AT, Snuggles and I met a girl named Roller because she carried a muscle roller and rolled her muscles out at every camp every single night. So there's a ton of ways to do it, but that's how I do it.
Hi Darwin, can you recommend a program for making video footage? I've got a lot of great shots and I'd like to maybe put them together. I've never worked in that medium at all. So if you have any suggestions, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
So yeah, there's a ton of really great editing software. You know, if you have some footage that's on a camera or your phone or a GoPro or something, there's a lot of really great programs out there. And you know, you can go crazy and get something like Final Cut, which is an Apple product. You can get something like Premiere Pro, and those are pay-for services and software that you have to pay for, but there's a ton of really great free software out there too. Believe it or not, most of the time, I'd say about 90% of the time, I edit all of my videos on iMovie, which is a free program that comes on any Mac, and it works great. I'm able to color grade, I'm able to put in transitions, put in titles, and make, like I said, about 90% of these videos are made on iMovie, and it's a free program. So I would definitely suggest that. But if you're looking to do something a little more professional, you might look at Final Cut or Premiere Pro, because those are really awesome programs too. All right guys, last question of the week. Trail names. Do you have to be a thru hiker to have a trail name? I've had a lot of people tell me it's a big no-no if you don't thru hike. I have also been told if you're a hiker, then yes. Also, is it bad trail etiquette to sign the books along the AT if you aren't through hiking? Are they just for the through hikers, or can anyone sign them? So, good question and good two-part question. Number one, no, you don't have to be a through hiker to have a trail name. Anybody that's hiking, anyone that's on the trail deserves a trail name. Now, I'm very old school about how I feel about trail names, and I think that you should have your trail name given to you, and I think that you should earn it. I've noticed a big thing in the last couple of years that there are a lot of hikers that are giving themselves trail names, and that's fine, but the whole magic of a trail name is the trail kind of gives it to you. Another hiker gives it to you because of something that you said, something that you did, because you remind somebody of a certain person. So that's how you get your trail name. And I think it's really special to let the trail name you. Now, as far as the logbooks, no. Again, I think that anybody can sign an AT logbook. The Appalachian Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, the Continental Divide Trail, those trails weren't just built for thru hikers. Those trails were built way before thru hiking even existed, so anybody could go out and enjoy the trail. So it doesn't matter who you are, yeah, absolutely you can sign your name in a logbook. Now, get out on the trail, earn yourself a trail name, and sign that logbook. Alright guys, so if you haven't noticed, the last couple of videos I've been doing, I'm actually sitting in between Death Valley and Sequoia National Park. I'm about 30 miles from the PCT at Kennedy Meadows, and right now we're just pretty much hanging out in the desert. Snuggles and I have been doing a ton of traveling, and I've been getting ready for my PCT thru hike next year. I'll probably be doing a couple more small trips, but mainly Snuggles and I right now are just on the road and hitting a ton of national parks. So not only do I want you to leave some questions for next week's Q&A in the comment box below, but also send me some suggestions and some ideas for some videos that you guys would like to see. Whether it's a trip video, some tips and tricks, a certain gear video, let me know and I'll do my best to put that on the list. If you haven't had a chance yet, go over and check me out on Instagram. I've been posting a lot of new photos lately of some of the things that Snuggles and I have going on throughout the week, plus some pictures from some past hikes. If you found any value in this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and as always guys, thanks for watching.